Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Gopi Jana Vallabha Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Tira Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Krishna Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Thank you. Jayam Vishnu Pad Paramhamsa Pravikachari Ashtutar Shri Srimad A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnu Pad Paramhamsa Pravikachari Ashtutar Shri Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopana Shamakun Radhakun Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Shri Mayapur Dham Ki Jai. Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai. Ganga Mai Ki Jai. Yamuna Mai Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Tulsi Devi Ki Jai. Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Gaura Premanande. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. All glories Srila Prabhupada. Narayanam Naskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Sarasvatim Vyasim Tato Jayam Hirdayet Nastaprayud Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavati Sevaya Bhagavatottama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So today we'll be reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 6, Chapter 3, Text 11. Shri Badarayanir Uvacha Iti Deva Sa Aprishtaha Praja Samyamano Yama Prita Swadutan Pratyaha Smaran Padambujam Harihe Shri Badarayanir Uvacha Iti Deva Sa Apshrita Praja Samyamano Yama Prita Swadutan Pratyaha Smaram Padam Bujam Harihe Shri Badarayanir Uvacha Iti Deva Sa Aprishta Praja Samyamano Yamaha Prita Swadutan Pratyaha Smaram Padam Pujam Harihe Shri Badarayanir Uvacha Iti Deva Sa Aprishta Praja Samyamano Yamaha Prita Swadutan Pratyaha Smaran Padam Bujam Harihe Iti Deva Sa Prishta Praja Samyamano Yamaha Smaran Padam Bujam Harihe Shri Badarayanir Uvacha Iti Deva Sa Aprishta Praja Samyamano Yamaha Prita Swadutan Pratyaha Smaran Padam Bujam Harihe Shri Badarayanir Uvacha Iti Deva Sa Aprishta Praja Samyamano Yamaha Prita Swadutan Pratyaha Smaran Padam Bujam Hare Shri Badarayanir Uvacha Iti Deva Sa Aprishta Praja Samyamano Yamaha Prita Swadutan Pratyaha Smaran Padam Bujam Harihe Shri Badarayanir Uvacha Iti Deva Sa Aprishta Praja Samyamano Yamaha Prita Swadutan Pratyaha Smaran Padam Bujam Harihe. Anyone else? Shri Badarayanir Uvacha Iti Deva Sa Aprishta Praja Samyamano Yamaha Prita Swadutan Pratyaha Hare. Prakash.
Sri Badarayane Ruvacha
Shri Badarayane Ruvacha
Iti Devasa Aprishta Praja Samyamano Yamaha Pritat Swadutan Pratyaha Smaran Padam Bhujam Hare.
Bhakta Ras, would you like to try? Shri Badarayane Ruvacha Pite Swadutan Pratyaha. Synonyms. Shri Badarayane Ruvacha. Shukadev Goswami said, Iti, thus, Devaha, the demigod, Saha, he, Aprishtaha, being questioned, Praja Samyamana Yamaha, Lord Yamarāja, who controls the living entities, Pritaha, being pleased, Swadutan, to his own servants, Pratyaha, replied, Smaran, remembering, Pada Ambujam, the lotus feet, Harihe, of Hari, the personality of Godhead. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Sri Shukadev Goswami said, thus having been questioned, Lord Yamarāja, the supreme controller of the living entities, was very pleased with his order carriers because of hearing from them the holy name of Narayana. He remembered the lotus feet of the Lord and began to reply. Purport. Srila Yamarāja, the supreme controller of the living entities, in terms of their pious and impious activities, was very pleased with his servants because they had chanted the holy name of Narayana in his domain. Yamarāja has to deal with men who are all sinful and who can hardly understand Narayana. Consequently, when his order carriers uttered the name of Narayana, he was extremely pleased, for he is also a Vaishnava. We'll go to the next text. Yamarāja said, my dear servants, you have accepted me as the supreme, but factually I am not. Above me and above all the other demigods, including Indra and Candra, is the one supreme master and controller. The partial manifestations of his personality are Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, who are in charge of the creation, maintenance, and annihilation of this universe. He is like the two threads that form the length and breadth of a woven cloth. The entire world is controlled by him, just as a bull is controlled by a rope in its nose. Purport. The order carriers of Yamarāja suspected that there was a ruler even above Yamarāja. To eradicate their doubts, Yamarāja immediately replied, yes, there is one supreme controller above everything. Yamarāja is in charge of some of the moving living entities, namely the human beings, but the animals who also move are not under his control. Only human beings have consciousness of right and wrong, and among them, only those who perform sinful activities come under the control of Yamarāja. Therefore, although Yamarāja is a controller, he is only a departmental controller of a few living entities. There are other demigods who control many other departments, but above them all is one supreme controller, Krishna. Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchit Ananda Vigraha. The supreme controller is Krishna. Others who control their own departments in the affairs of the universe are insignificant in comparison to Krishna, the supreme controller. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 7:7, Matapara taram nanyat kinchit asti Dhananjaya. My dear Dhananjaya, Arjuna, no one is superior to me. Therefore, Yamarāja immediately cleared away the doubts of his assistants, the Yamadutas, by confirming that there is a supreme controller above all others. Srila Madhvacharya explains that the words otam protam refer to the cause of all causes. The Supreme Lord is both vertical and horizontal to the cosmic manifestation. This is confirmed by the following verse from the Skanda Purana. Yata kanta pratas shutra ota protash chasastitaha evam vishna vidam vishwam otam protam chasamshritam. Just like the two threads, horizontal and vertical, of which a quilt is manufactured, Lord Vishnu is situated as a vertical and horizontal cause of the cosmic manifestation. Om Jnana Timarandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Mano Bhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadam Mayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Parakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Sha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Ragunatam Vitamtam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamsha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavaneshware Vishabhanu Sutta Devi Pranamami Hare Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sundibhi Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Sari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. So I would like to welcome our Balaram Prabhu here back to our temple. He came back yesterday. And same time, our Bhakta Tyler, he went back to Seattle Loka. So Tyler, I would like to say a little things about to glorify Tyler. See, Tyler, he's unpredictable. Anyone that knows Tyler is unpredictable. You don't know what he's up to. He's like the wild card here. And he was telling me that. So I helped him go to the airport. I drove him there. And he had me carry one of his bags. And one of his bags was so heavy. And I said, what's in here? And he said, it's full of coins. And then he said, ingredients for, what's that? What does he make for breakfast? Sambar. He brought everything so he can make prasad for his family. So he was telling me that when the TS... I'll tell you. I guess he likes to gift them to his family. It was like more than 50 pounds. And so he was telling me when he passed through the TSA inspection, they took out all of the stuff in his bag, and one of the ladies said, oh, it's national coin shortage. Because they couldn't understand what was in Tyler's bag. So Tyler, we hope you have a nice time in Seattle, and we hope you come back safely. So pearls are strung on a thread like a garland. You know, pearls or a thread, you can't see them when it's strung. And also, the thread, sorry. And so similarly, like a garland, a good garland, it doesn't show the thread on it. That's what makes it beautiful. So Tyler, he works in the background in his temple. He does so much service, and so I really appreciate what Tyler does. I get to work with Tyler once a week. I help him with projects, I help him organize things. And sometimes Tyler, he would even sacrifice his sleep sadhana just to try to make the temple look nice for the devotees. He does service for the devotees, and he becomes blissful when he gets to serve the devotees. So Bhakti Tyler Ki Jai. So in text 11, Yamarāja, he was very pleased to hear that his Yamadutas had chanted the holy name of Narayana. And so as Vaishnavas, we should also be pleased when others get a chance to chant the holy name. And this whole pastime of a Jamali gave me an idea. On book distribution, I started carrying the speaker. So I'm playing kirtan, and So it gives them a chance to hear the holy name. And in the previous verse, he was saying that the holy name is so potent, like medicine. Someone may not have the full understanding, or like fire, but nevertheless, it's still going to act regardless of the person's understanding. So I was in Balboa Park. It's like a circus. You have musicians, and some of them are bad. And then you have people that are singing. It's like a circus. And so yesterday,
Some of those singers are off key.
yeah, Vijay Prabhu knows the tapper. There's a guy, he plays a fiddle. He plays like a violin string type of instrument, and he tap dances at the same time. He's terrible. Yeah. He fiddles with the fiddle. So, and I was kind of tired of hearing all this, sound. So I decided to bring a speaker. And I remember when I was playing it, there's a lady that came to my table. She was kind of humming along, and then she was there watching or looking at the different books, and I finally asked her, "Would you like a book?" And she said, "No, I just like the chanting." So I offered her again a book, and she said, "No, it's okay. I just like the sound." So she was, when she walked away, she was still humming the Hare Krishna mantra. She'll be back. So this chanting of Hare Krishna, it gives one an opportunity to, you can say, eradicate the sins that we committed unknowingly or knowingly in the past and in the future. It's so potent. And there's a joke. How can you tell, because Dharma said to Prabhu, he was talking about politics yesterday. So how can you tell if a politician is lying? His lips are moving. So these politicians, they have no idea what is the truth, what is the absolute truth. And when the Yamadutas asked if there was someone above Yamarāja, he spoke the truth. He said, there is someone higher above me. But when you ask these puffed up scientists, engineers, they think that their education or their intelligence is the only thing or the only authority. Kali Yuga, everyone's very proud of their so-called knowledge, and everyone's proud of their bodily features. That's why there's gyms opening up. Yes, we don't neglect the body, we take care of it, but we don't make it all in all. And Srila Prabhupada, he says, what is the use of decorating a dead body? Right? I was distributing books, and I asked that famous question, what is the difference between a living body and a dead body? Many people, they will say, oh, there's the mind still works, the heart beats. And a few people will tell me that there's consciousness or there's life. So not many people understand what is making or animating the dead body. And Srila Prabhupada, he uses this example that in a store you might see a mannequin. It's dressed nicely, right? It's a very beautiful mannequin, has all these nice clothes, jewelry, but no one cares for that mannequin because it's false. And so similarly, when we see a beautiful woman, some people may be attracted because they think she's real. But in actuality, the so-called living are also dead because this body is simply a lump of matter. When I go on book distribution, I tell people this body is a bag. It's a bag full of blood, mucus, bones, urine, feces. They say it is a bag. So you try to, you can say, move them away from the bodily concept of life. And there's many examples that are asking questions, like Arjuna, when he surrendered to Krishna, he said, what is the best thing for me? And similarly, Sanatana Goswami, he fell at the feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with a straw in his teeth, and he started asking questions. Who am I? Why is there so much misery? Why are they forced upon me? And what should I do even after liberation? So these are examples of people that started asking questions when they were in trouble. But people, they think they can solve life. And insanity means to do the same things over and over but expect a different result. People are eating, sleeping, mating, and defending, and people might think there is polished life, but it's the same. And so Arjuna, he's an eternal associate of Krishna. In the Mahabharata, Arjuna, he's the favorite student of Dronacharya. And Arjuna, at night, he heard the sound at night, and it was Bhima eating. So he asked Bhima, how can you coordinate your hand to your mouth? And then Bhima said, it's natural. So this gave inspiration to Arjuna, and he started training or shooting arrows at night. So he started training day and night. And there was a test set by Dronacharya, the crocodile. It was a crocodile, and it came to, you can say, bite Dronacharya. All of the kids ran away except for Arjuna. Arjuna said, give me my bow and arrow. So he rescued Dronacharya. So from this, Dronacharya, he developed this natural affection for Arjuna because he was a very nice disciple. Not only that, but he went over and above to become the best archer. So in the purport, it says that only human beings have consciousness of right and wrong. When you ask people what is right and what is wrong, they may tell you what from their perspective, but they have no idea according to the Vedas perspective or the Bhagavad Gita. Sometimes on book distribution, people are very challenging. They say, how many people read these books? So I tell them Srila Prabhupada's answer. He says that Chanakya Pandit, he says that one moon is sufficient to light up the universe. So what is the use of billions of stars? So similarly, there's a lot of people that are reading so many nonsense books. Yesterday, there was a guy holding a book, and I asked him, what's that book about? And the title of the book was Libido. And I said, what's that about? And he said, it's a controversial book. He says, it's about an old man. He fell in love with a young lady. So there's so much nonsense. And so I told him how rare is it for someone to get this book. So I told him there are 8,400,000 species of life. Aquatics, plants, birds, insects, animals, and then the human beings. And most of the human beings are uncivilized. And out of the civilized ones, one may take to religious life. And out of those who take up so-called religious practices, they begin to do philanthropic work, like opening up hospitals or opening up schools for the poor. So this altruistic process is called karma kanda. And out of these karma kandis, there may be one jnani, one who knows. And out of these millions of jnanis, one may be liberated. And out of billions of liberated souls, one may know Krishna. So that is the position of Krishna. And Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, he says, out of many thousands among men, one may endeavor for perfection. And of those who achieve perfection, hardly one knows me in truth. So to become a devotee and is practicing devotional service is not a cheap thing. We should keep that in mind. And Krishna, he can award liberation to anyone. So it's not a wonderful thing. He gave liberation to Putana, Kamsa, Ravana, all these different demons. But for Krishna, he's the absolute. So for him, killing and giving liberation is the same. So to be engaged in Krishna's devotional service is very rare. He doesn't award devotional service just to anyone. Keep that in mind. So the devotees here, we should always be enthusiastic to do service. And the devotees, they're so merciful that they try to engage anyone to do a little service. Anyone that comes in, hey Prabhu, can you help with this? So we try to engage them. And Srila Prabhupada, he says that from the beginning of one's childhood, one goes on inquiring about so many things. Why is the sky blue? Why do birds fly? Why is an ant so tiny? But he never inquires about the real essence of life. And there's a misconception that we're going to be able to bring our wealth with us in our next life. We're going to be able to bring our house with us in our next life. And Srila Prabhupada, he uses this very nice analogy. In a public transit, like a bus, we meet and sit down together with some unknown friends, and we become members of the same bus. And as we are all separate, and we separate at a certain point, never to see each other again. So this is like the families that we are born into. They are like the traveling strangers in this life. Prabhupada, he would use this saying, the hard struggle for existence, right? And you see this in Balboa Park. You see the unfortunate homeless people. You see the elderly people trying to still enjoy. They can barely walk. They have a cane. They have a walking or assistant for walking, but they're still trying to enjoy. And then you see young people. They're lost, confused. They are trying to find their identity in this material world. And then there's midlife crisis. There's elderly people. They're trying to live their childhood dreams, driving a nice car, hanging out with young ladies. So midlife crisis. There was a person with the shirt, and it said, "More dogs, less people." And I looked at him and said, "Excuse me, sir, let me speak to you." And he said, "No." So I said, "Okay." Yeah. I was telling myself I should get a fake dog and tie it to my table. So that way people will be attracted. They'll pet it and say, "Yeah, you like it?" But
You need a robot dog.
a robot dog, yeah.
You have a squirrel.
A squirrel. So yeah, people are attracted to dogs, and they go on comparing their dog with the next dog. Oh, that's a Chihuahua, mine's a German Shepherd. They're so proud of their dogs. And in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 16, text 9, Krishna says that following such conclusions, the demoniac who are lost to themselves and who have no intelligence engage in unbeneficial, horrible works meant to destroy the world. So I meet scientists, engineers. No doubt they're very intelligent, but they're using their intelligence to cause disturbances in the humans in the world. And when you ask them, what is the aim of life? They don't want to answer that question. So they go on using their intelligence for the wrong things, for the wrong purposes. Srila Prabhupada, he says that Kali Yuga means the age of forgetting God. When you tell people these books help you to understand what is your relationship with God, most of them, they say, "Oh, no thanks." They want their so-called independence or their own religion. So what does Sankirtan mean when we go on book distribution? It doesn't mean just moving ink and paper to people. We're not salesmen. When Narada Muni, when he was instructing Vyasadeva, he told him, on the other hand, that literature which is full of descriptions of the transcendental glories of the name, fame, forms, pastimes, etc. of the unlimited Supreme Lord is a different creation, full of transcendental words directed toward bringing about a revolution in the impious lives of this world's misdirected civilization. Such transcendental literatures, even though imperfectly composed, are heard, sung, and accepted by purified men who are thoroughly honest. And in the 8th canto, when it was the demons and the demigods, they were churning the ocean of milk. And one of the first things that came out was this poison. And who drank that poison? Lord Shiva. And he was telling Parvati, he said, people in general, being bewildered by the illusory energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, are always engaged in animosity toward one another. But devotees, even at the risk of their own temporary lives, try to save them. So this is the mission of book distribution. So I'll tell a few Sankirtan stories. There was a police officer, he was walking by. And sometimes they're hit or miss. So I called him over. I said, "Excuse me, officer, I have a question." He said, "What's that?" So I told him, "How can we decrease the crime rates?" He said, "That's a good question." So I told him, "You give everyone these books." I gave him a set. And he said, "Really, what are these books about?" So I told him these books, they help everyone to have a peaceful mind and a peaceful heart, to be free from envy, greed, hatred. And I also told him, you start developing good qualities like tolerance, patience, compassion, humility, forgiveness, mercy, qualities that are lacking in the world today. He said, "That sounds really good." He said, "How much for the books?" And then I told him what Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said. I told him, all the wealth in the three worlds cannot equal to even one of these books. And I was trying so hard to prevent, smirking, laughing. So I said, "Okay, can I give you $40? I said, "That's more than enough." So he gave $40. He took the books, and then he was unwrapping the books. And then on his way, I heard him say, "This is for Kathy. This is for Ben." He was already preparing. He already had some people ready for these books, Christmas presents. And sometimes people give very nice and generous donations. So there was this Mataji. She looked like she was going through a lot. So she said, "I would like one of these books, but I don't have a lot of money." And I said, "How much can you give?" And she said, "I only have $2. And I said, "That's plenty." And then when she was leaving, she said, "When I make more money, I'll look for you and I'll give you a better donation." And she said, "I'll keep you in mind because you helped me." So we go out and we distribute these books to help the fallen conditioned souls. And this week is pretty weird because there was 3 instances where people asked me to sign their Bhagavad Gita. And there was this,
You're a celebrity, man.
and then there was this one man, he said, "I'm going to go around and hopefully you'll have a nice message when you come back." So when he was out and he wasn't busy, I was thinking, what should I say? So I said, "Hare Krishna." I wrote, I hope all the difficulties in your life can turn to opportunities to serve others." And I put, "You're not the body, you're spirit soul." And I put, "Have a wonderful evening," like that. And I put, "Your servant Govardhana Dasa." And so people, when they meet a devotee, sometimes they open up, they start crying. There was this lady, I asked her the typical question, "Have you heard of stress, anxiety?" And she had sunglasses on. So I said, "Okay." And when I handed her the book, there was a tear in her eye. I said, "Are you okay?" And she said, "This is very awkward." She started crying just because when I told her that we're trying to help people. See, people, they're living artificial lives. And what that means is that on social media, they post pictures, smiling, they have captions, "Best day ever." But when those cameras turn off, they're struggling with loneliness, things like that. So people open up, they start crying, and some of them even want hugs. And depending if they're women, I said, "I'll give you a handshake," like that. And so there's another lady, her name, she was from Tennessee, and they have the accent. So she said, "I never gonna read these books." So I said, "I bet you will." I told her, when you're sitting at home and there's nothing on TV, you remember this book. I said, "That's when you're going to read it." And she said, "You think so?" And I said, "I know so." She said, "Okay." So she took a book, she gave a donation, and she was on her way. There was a group of friends, they saw the pamphlet, Krishna Lounge. And one of the boys, they said, "If I become a Hare Krishna, I'll probably be more happy." So they said Hare Krishna. And, okay, I'll wrap it up. So some of the most difficult people to distribute books are Asians and Indians. And there was an Indian young man, he came to my table and he asked the question. He said, "How does these books, or how do the Western people react to these books?" And I told them they love them. They're searching for these books. He said, really? And I said, yeah. I asked him, have you read the Bhagavad Gita? He said, no. I said, that's why you don't, I said, that's why you don't understand the value of these books. And Srila Prabhupada, he says that one that knows the value of gold, they'll buy it immediately. So I told them, what you do is you take these books and you give them to your Western friends, and they're going to love you. So they took books, they gave a donation, and then there was another Indian family. She said, my husband and I were having a very deep and confidential talk, and I was at a crossroad. She quit her job, she didn't know what to do next, she didn't know what to pursue. And then she said she saw the science of self-realization on my book table. And then she said from there, it was perfect timing. She knew exactly what to do from there. So she started thanking me. She said, thank you for doing this. Because she was from London, and she knows the ISKCON temple there. So I told her a joke about Srila Prabhupada saying that London is hell to him. It's cold and it's very damp, so he said that London is hell for him. And they started laughing. And, okay, so being intelligent means to ask relevant questions. And Srila Prabhupada said there's questions that we should ask. Who am I? What is the goal of life? And the third most important question is, what happens when I die? But people don't ask these questions. They have this illusion that I'm going to live forever. I'm going to keep my wealth with me. I'm going to keep my wife with me. I'm going to keep my husband with me. But that's not the case. We're separated. So no one answers or no one asks these questions nowadays. And when I ask people that, people are so shocked. They said, you know, those are really good questions. So we should go out and distribute Srila Prabhupada's books as much as possible. And Vijay Prabhu, he wants all of us to unload the books after class. So those that are free, please help us. It'll be in the alleyway. Okay, I'm going to wrap it up because I don't want to get chastised by Vijay Prabhu. Okay, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.